Welcome to our deep dive, everyone.
All right, so we're diving headfirst into this V75 card at Jägersro April 12th, 2025.
Let's kick things off then. V75 1, Silver Division. Right off the bat, there's one horse that just jumps out from the expert opinions. Number 6, Kyrie Layson.
Yeah, Kyrie Layson. I saw that name popping up everywhere.
And for good reason. Its recent performances are, well, they're impressive is an understatement. The word that kept coming up was authority. This horse isn't just winning, it's dominating. And what really stands out are those final quarter-mile times.
Yeah.
Pure speed. And that suggests a horse that's peaking at the right time.
Okay, so Kyrie Layson, the speedster with the winning streak, that's a strong start. But this is horse racing, right? Nothing's a guarantee, and I did see some cautionary notes in there too.
Right. A few sources did express concern that maybe, just maybe, Kyrie Layson might be a bit overbet at its current odds.
Overbet, meaning?
Meaning the public might be getting a bit carried away with its recent success, and those odds might not reflect the actual chances of winning, especially considering the level of competition it's facing in this race. It's a step up in class, and that always adds a layer of uncertainty.
So a potential chink in the armor. Interesting. But even if Kyrie Layson stumbles, there's always someone waiting to seize the opportunity. And I have a feeling I know who the experts have in mind.
It's hard to miss number 9, Pingus, in the expert opinions. A strong return win after a break. That always catches the eye. The outside starting position isn't ideal, but the consensus seems to be that this horse has the raw talent and the form to overcome that.
Okay, so we've got Kyrie Layson, the potential favorite, but maybe a tad vulnerable, and Pingus, the challenger with the comeback story. But every race needs a dark horse, right? Someone who could really shake things up. And there are a few names that caught my attention.
Yeah, there are always a few lurking in the shadows. Number 7, Boscia Diablo, is one that several experts highlighted. The general feeling is that it's better than its recent results might suggest. You see, there was a race where things just didn't pan out as planned.
Ah, one of those races. They happen.
They do. But the previous speed ratings were solid, and the experts seem to think that with a smoother trip, Boscia Diablo could be right there at the finish.
All right, so those are our big three, the ones the experts seem to be focusing on. But let's not forget about those long shots, the ones who could really make this V75 one exciting. Did any names stand out?
Well, one intriguing mention was number 1, Kalmik Leipner. One source specifically used the term underskattad.
Underskattad. I'm going to need a translation on that one.
Basically underestimated. The feeling is that its potential might be a bit overlooked, and those long odds could be a tempting opportunity. Plus, starting from the inside position could give it a tactical advantage. And another horse worth keeping an eye on is number 10, Speedrise Lady S. Now, she's known to have a good turn of foot, and if the race unfolds in a way that allows her to utilize that late speed, she could be a real factor.
So, a potential late surge from Speedrise Lady S. That adds another layer of intrigue to V75-1. And before we move on, we can't forget about the expected early leader. Number 3, without a doubt. The big question is, will they try to hold on to that lead, or will they yield to one of the other contenders? That early game strategy could really shape the race.
No doubt about it, literally.
Okay, I see what you did there. All right, on to V75-2, the April Stare. And this one immediately feels different. The experts seem a lot less certain about who's going to come out on top.
Yeah, the overwhelming consensus is that this is a wide open race, a real head scratcher. And when you look at the distance, 3,140 meters, you can see why. That kind of stamina test throws a lot of variables into the mix.
A real test of endurance. So even though it's a bit of a guessing game, I'm sure there are still some horses that are attracting more attention than others. Number 5, Poker Lane. Seems to be one of those names.
Poker Lane is definitely getting a lot of buzz. And it makes sense. It's a horse with a proven track record over these longer distances. And when you're talking about a race like this, that inherent ability to stay the course is a huge asset.
And then we have number 13, Bertus Ankare. Another one that's generating some positive chatter, right?
Yeah, Bertus Ankare had a very solid recent performance. And the fact that it's expected to race without shoes this time is seen as a potential advantage. It can often lead to improved traction and a more efficient stride.
So a horse in form plus a potential equipment edge. That's a combination to watch. And then there's number 8, Superfras. This one almost feels like the experts are saying it's due. Due for a win, that is.
It does feel that way, doesn't it? The consistent message is that Superfras has been running well, knocking on the door, and this could be the race where everything clicks into place.
All right, so a horse with good fore and maybe a bit of luck on its side, that's Superfras. And what about number 4, Zenmeister? Any thoughts on its chances?
Zenmeister is definitely seen as a contender, especially if it can secure the early lead. In these marathon races, a horse that can dictate the pace from the front has a huge advantage. It's a lot harder to chase down a leader than it is to hold them off.
Given how open this race is, we have to talk about potential surprises. And I did notice number 1, Lejonkungen, mentioned in that context.
Lejonkung is an intriguing one. It's got that inside starting position, which is always a plus, and it's shown a liking for these longer distances in the past. One source even described a recent performance as a career best. And to add another layer of intrigue, the trainer has stated that they're going to be aiming for the lead right from the start.
There's a historical trend at Jägersro that favors frontrunners. So if Lejonkungen does go for the lead, and maybe Zenmeister tries to challenge, that early battle could be crucial in determining the winner.
Absolutely. It could turn into a real tactical chess match right from the gate. Okay, on to V75-3. Now this one feels a bit different, less about a wide-open feel and more about a head-to-head showdown.
Yeah, V75-3, the Paralympia Trivet Elimination Heat. And it does seem like the experts are laser-focused on 2 horses in particular.
It's hard to miss them. Number 3, A Fair Day, and number 5, Bonus Prince. They're the clear standouts in this field. And A Fair Day has a significant advantage right out of the gate, that inside starting position.
The 3-hole, yeah, the experts are really emphasizing how important that could be.
For good reason. Drawing the inside gives you a much shorter path to the first turn, and it can save crucial energy in the early stages.
So a horse in top form plus a tactical edge, that's a powerful combination. But we're talking about Bonus Prince here, the reigning Paralympia Trivet champion. You don't get to that level without being something special.
Absolutely. Bonus Prince is known for its blistering early speed, and the fact that it will be racing without shoes for the first time since last summer is seen as a potential game changer. It could add an extra gear to that already explosive start. And while everyone's focused on those 2, one source did mention number 6, Jaguar Dream, as a potential beneficiary if the 2 favorites burn each other out in a speed duel. In a small field like this, anything can happen.
That's true. 7 horses, a shorter distance, and a lot of tactical maneuvering. Okay, let's move on to V75-4, the Diamant Stoet. And this one seems to be giving the experts a real headache.
It's a tough one to call. The Diamant Stoet for mares only, and the overwhelming consensus is that it's a very open race with a high probability of a surprise result.
So buckle up, folks. This could be a wild one. But even in a wide open race, some horses inevitably stand out. And number 13, Nordalanda, seems to be one that's attracting a lot of attention, even though it's a newcomer to Swedish racing.
Nordalanda is coming in with some impressive credentials, winner of a major race in Germany, trained by someone with a top-notch reputation. And while it hasn't raced in Sweden before, one source went so far as to say it was their best bet of the day.
Wow, their best bet. That's a bold statement. So a talented horse, a top trainer, and a vote of confidence, that's Nordalanda. And what about number 12, Lady Beluga? A local horse, racing on its home turf. I'm sure the hometown crowd would love to see a win.
They would, and Lady Beluga is definitely in with a chance. The word is that it's in peak condition, and if it can get a good trip, it could be right there at the finish.
A hometown hero story, always a crowd pleaser. But in a race this open, we have to talk about potential long shots. And one name that popped up was number 1, Carmita Silvio.
Carmita Silvio is an interesting one. The win probabilities might be relatively low according to the sources, but it has shown good form in the past, even against some tough competition. And starting from that inside post position, it could get a dream run.
So a bit of the sleeper pick. And what about number 4, Yantra Slave Cow, another one that's being mentioned as a potential surprise?
Yantra Slave Cow is being praised for its grit. It had a very tough race recently, but still managed to put in a strong performance. So it's a horse that can handle adversity and maybe even exceed expectations.
A true fighter. And to add a bit more local flavor, number 8, Monroos Wine, is also being mentioned as a horse in good form.
That's right. Monroos Wine has been running well, and there's an interesting stat. It's won half of its races when it managed to avoid any stumbles or breaks in stride. So a clean run could be the key to success.
And now onto V75-5, a Class 3 race that the experts are describing as fiercely competitive.
This Class 3 race is stacked with talent. The depth of the field is really impressive, and it's going to be a tough one to decipher.
A real puzzle. But even in a puzzle, there are pieces that fit together more easily than others. And in this case, number 4, D'Artagnan Face, seems to be one of those pieces, despite coming back from a break.
D'Artagnan Face is a very interesting horse. Despite the layoff, it's considered to have huge potential in this class. And racing on its home track, where it's familiar with the surroundings, could be a big advantage.
Home field advantage, always a factor. And then we have number 5, Marshall, a recent winner. making a strong impression.
Marshall is coming in hot off that win, and the expectation is that it will continue that strong form. Some sources even suggest it could go for the lead right out of the gate.
The potential frontrunner. Okay, and then we have number 1, Moni Lane, starting from that coveted inside position. That has to be a huge plus.
It's a major advantage, especially for a horse like Moni Lane, which has a perfect record from the lead. The plan is almost certainly to go straight to the front and try to control the race. And they've even introduced a new sulky, which could potentially add a little extra edge.
So the pole position, winning streak from the front, and new equipment. Moni Lane is definitely one to watch. And then there's number 9, Fetisov, undefeated in 3 starts. That's hard to ignore.
Fetisov is the rising star, 3 for 3, and the experts believe it has the versatility to win from different positions. Whether it's on the lead, in the pocket, or coming from behind, it seems to find a way to win.
A real talent. All right, so we've got a handful of strong contenders, but every race needs a dark horse. And in V75-5, that role seems to be filled by number 6, Ugali.
Ugali comes from a stable that's in red-hot form right now, and if it can put together a clean race, it could definitely upset some of the favorites. In a race this competitive, any little edge can make a difference.
On to V75-6, the bronze division, where one horse seems to be getting all the attention. Number 4, here's Johnny Socks.
Here's Johnny Socks is the name on everyone's lips. The expectation is that it will be even sharper after its last race, and it's known for its affinity for shorter distances. That, combined with a good starting position, makes it a very dangerous contender.
Fun and fast, that's a good combination. But we can't forget about number 3, Maroon Day. High expectations for this one as well, despite a recent stumble.
Maroon Day is a serious contender, and the connections are making some changes to address that recent stumble. They're adjusting the balance and introducing a new sulky, hoping to get it back on track.
So a talented horse, some adjustments to improve its performance, that's Maroon Day. And then there's number 12, Savastano, starting way out wide. That's got to be a challenge.
Starting from position 12 is never ideal, but Savastano has the raw ability to overcome it. The experts acknowledge its talent, and a recent fast finish suggests it's in good form, and for the first time, it'll be racing without shoes, which could be a real game changer in terms of speed.
So a horse with potential gear change, that's Savastano. And of course, we have to talk about potential long shots. And in V75-6, that brings us to number 8, Kick It.
Kick It is one that the experts are suggesting might be worth a look at longer odds. It showed good form in its last race, indicating it's in good condition and could be ready for a strong performance.
And finally, we reach V75-7, the last leg of the V75, a longer 26-40-meter vault start with a mix of Class 2 and classier horses. And one name that keeps popping up is number 1, Gugu Casino.
Gugu Casino is a horse with a lot of upside, but also a bit of a question mark. It's shown flashes of brilliance, but it can also be inconsistent, with a recent instance of galloping. However, if it can take the lead from the start in this vault start, many believe it will be very hard to beat. One source even called it their most confident pick of the day.
So a high-risk, high-reward type of horse, that's Gugu Casino. And then there's number 11, Global Commission, starting from the second tier in this vault start. How do the experts view its chances over this longer distance?
Global Commission has been performing very well in Sweden, and is expected to have the stamina to handle this longer trip. However, starting from the second tier in a vault start can be tricky. It might have to work a bit harder to find a good position early on.
So a horse with stamina, but a potentially challenging starting position, that's Global Commission. And what about number 6, Lighter Lamp? It seems like there are some mixed opinions on this one.
Lighter Lamp is a bit of an enigma. Its trainer is very confident, believing it has a strong chance to win, but it also has a tendency to gallop, which is a significant risk, so it could be a case of all or nothing.
A bit of a wild card then. And finally, we have number 3, Hennesoji. Some changes afoot for this one, right?
Yeah, Hennesoji will have a new driver and a shoeing adjustment for this race. And starting from a good early position in this vault start, it could get a favorable trip behind the leaders and be in a position to strike late.
So a horse with some new variables to consider, that's Hennesoji. And it's important to remember, as one source pointed out, that in these longer vault start races, the horses on the inside often have a big advantage right from the beginning. The never-ending search for the winning formula.
And the thrill of the unexpected.
Exactly. You never know what's going to happen. And that's what keeps us coming back for more.